That's how it goes. I'm ready for it. It doesn't happen.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting for Bedford Township for February 1st, 2021. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, if Pastor Steve Hobbins with Lewis Avenue Baptist Church could lead us in prayer.
Let's pray. Father, thank you for the freedom that we have and the opportunity to come. What it represents that at a township meeting, we pause first to seek your help and wisdom. Father, we think of the approaching weather and whatever that might be. I pray that you'd protect folks in need, help us to notice them, watch over them, bring them to the attention of those who can help them. Just keep us safe. Father, we ask that you would guide and direct the things that we do. Our desire is that nothing we do would be dishonoring or displeasing to you. We ask for your help now in these things. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, number 2, approval of the agenda. I'd like to add to 8K to sell the ambulance.
You say 8? Change it to 8A, you said?
8K.
Okay. Okay.
It's a 2008 Chevy McCoy Miller ambulance, and $10,000. And add that to 8K. Other than that, anybody else have any additions or subtractions? I look for a motion.
Make the motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support. Okay, motion and supported. Any more discussion? Seeing none. Mr. Steiner, you supported, correct?
No.
Or
I
you
made the
motioned?
motion.
Motion.
You supported?
Both of us
Joseph?
still aren't I? So just pick one.
Okay. Mr. Bruning supported. Okay. Could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye. The motion passed 7-0. Item 3 is the consent agenda. The agenda committee recommends to approve and place on file A, minutes of the January 18th, 2022 regular meeting of the Bedford Township Board. B, the resignation of Amy Lingo from the grant writing committee effective immediately.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Okay, motion and support by Ms. Janizek. Discussion? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, and the motion passed 7-0. Item 4 are presentations. A, swearing-in ceremony for Bedford Township firefighter and paramedic and EMTs.
Good evening. At this time, I'd like to call forward firefighter paramedic Carl Arnold and firefighter paramedic Dustin Cunningham. Firefighter EMT Komrowski has been tied up at work and will not make it this evening, so we'll get another attempt with him at a later date.
If you please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the state of Michigan, and Bedford Township? Do you affirm that you will follow the rules and regulations of the fire department and obey the commands of the officer in charge of emergency calls and drills? Will you honestly and impartially perform all the duties of the firefighter and respect and protect and honor the dignities of Bedford Township Fire Department to the best of your ability, so help you God? Congratulations.
Congratulations. Good job. Hey, congratulations. Great job. Oh, okay.
You guys want to come up front? We'll take a quick picture real quick with you guys. Mr. Steinman, you got a phone? You're going to take the picture? The photo guy? I guess we... George do a screenshot from the camera? Where's Wendy when we need her?
So, as is customary for us, we would ask that firefighter's wife Laura come up front for his pinning tonight. Carl's been with the department since 2019. We're catching up on some COVID swearing-ins. When we were shut down last year, he's got more than 20 years of experience in the fire service, and he's serving as a full-time firefighter paramedic with us. He's also an acting lieutenant. He's been helping with the transition as we continue with promotions. He's brought his experience in and is serving as an acting lieutenant at this time. So, as an acting lieutenant, Lieutenant Arnold is going to pin Dustin tonight. So, Dustin is one of our unique. Dustin's unique in that he was an explorer of ours from 2005 to 2009. So when we talk about the success of our exploring program and how we're working with to bring up future generations of firefighters, he's a good example. From 2005 to 2009, he was an explorer. He served about 10 years in various EMS systems and then came back to us in 2019 as well. So thank you. Thanks,
Very much. Well, thank you guys very much. I know we all appreciate your service and everything you do in protecting our community, so really appreciate it. Okay, up next is, well, I'm going to let anybody who'd like to leave, you can leave right now. That way you don't feel like you have to stay for the whole meeting. Or you can stay. It's up to you. So you won't be offended. All right. I knew one would go. Okay. Okay. Up next is a public comment. Comments limited to 5 minutes for board agenda items only. So, come on up.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Denise Ellsworth, and I am a member of the Library Advisory Board, and I'm here today to say a very special thank you to someone. I want to say thank you to Al Pryor for your love of our library and willingness to attend the Library Advisory Board meetings, advise with unbiased opinion, research, and present the Library Advisory Board with constructive information for progress to be achieved. It is with Al's help that we have 2 agenda items tonight, and what a sense of relief for all of us because we've finally started to make progress, and I think that's a wonderful thing. The other reason that I'm here tonight is to introduce you that I am also the owner of DeCapo Coffee, and we are going to be opening up our 3rd location at Summerlin, and we will be spending approximately $500,000 trying to put that all together. And we're doing it because we believe in our community, we want to invest in our community, and we want to see if we can put some jobs out there for people in our community. And I'm not quite sure how long it's going to take. The lease has been signed, but the build-out is going to take a little bit of time, but I'm looking forward to getting that completed. Thank you.
Very cool. Okay. Any more comments?
Gail Kane, 1056 West Temperance. The items I wish to speak to tonight is the concern regarding H, converting 3 part-time to full-time. The chief, and I understand what he's trying to do, but it says he wants to do this and doesn't yet have the money. So I'm just questioning whether we should maybe wait. I don't know what the rush would be. The big one is 8C. After reading the papers, especially page 30 and 31, have some big, huge concerns with us going charter. The other issue is the fact that the supervisor or superintendent could authorize, tons of money here to be used to his discretion without the vote of the voting public. We don't get a say at that point. We don't make the decisions now. But at the same time, we do get to say something if we want to. And this seems to be something we don't get to do if we go charter, because it's automatically he would get to have this money and to use it as he sees fit. Exeter Township is doing this. Frenchtown did it. 1 year Frenchtown did 5. The next year they did 3. So there's no set guarantee. We don't even know what our monies are going to be. So I have a concern for that, and that was page 30 and 31. The other major issue is that our supervisor has decided that he doesn't want to run this township anymore, and so he's seeking a different position within the political world. This, to me, would be the bad time to do this. We're not situated. We don't know whether he will or will not make that position. We don't know whether he will be taking Mr. Pryor with him. I assume he will. Mr. Pryor does quite a bit of his letter writing and lets him know what to say and do at meetings and stuff. So I'm assuming he's probably going to take Mr. Pryor with him, but I don't know that. That has not been disclosed yet. But in the meantime, to have him be running for a political office, his time from now until then is going to be spent playing politics and not overseeing the township. And I have concerns as to who could be coming up behind him and whether we decide to choose a superintendent, if we do a management person, and just all these other things that would come into play if we went that. I just think it's a bad time right now in this township to go ahead and take that leap of faith, and especially with all the extra monies we have going. We have the COVID money from the township, we have the COVID money from the road commission, we have the COVID money from the drains, we have COVID money from the county. It's just an awful lot of money running around loose that we have not yet had final plans on. So I have some concerns with this, that we would take this leap. Not right now. Maybe later, yes. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any more comments from the public?
Hi, Jody Russ, 1273 Winding Way. I'm the community librarian at the Bedford Library, and I want to speak to 8A, 8B, and 8E tonight. Just under 8A in the vouchers for payment, you may have noticed that the library fund voucher is a high amount of money because on there we have a 50% payment for the carpeting that's going into the building. I'm really excited to say I have a date for that to start. So that will be February 23rd is the day that they're going to begin that project. I will know more next week when I meet with the contractors about what's going to happen when and whether or not we need to close. I would imagine we will close specific areas of the building for short periods of time, but they have assured us that we don't have to close the entire building at any time. So regardless of what else happens, we will maintain curbside service and computer access for people in our lobby, even if we have to close the rest of the building during the project. So I just wanted you guys to be aware of what that is in the vouchers there. And then in 8D, we have the installation of a phone system at the library. I think I had sent you guys a memo to let you know we're using the same phone system we've been using since 1988. It runs on a DOS computer. Most of you probably don't know what DOS is. Maybe Rick does, but probably nobody else does. And certainly nobody else at the library does. I'm the only person who can set up our voicemail. These next few days is a perfect example of why that's a fatal flaw. I will not be able to put any kind of message out on the phone system if I can't get to the building. To let people know that we are closed if that happens due to the weather. So like this is a perfect example what's coming up here of one very small reason that phone system needs to be upgraded. But the phone system recommendation that you guys have will allow for all kinds of extra things to be available for people to be able to do with the new upgrade to the phone system. So if you have any questions at that point, I'd be happy to answer what I can, but I'm not a technical person, so I don't really know. And then AE is the approval to install the new chiller at the library. We're all sick to death of hearing about the chiller at the library, so let's just get this thing done, I guess is where we're at right now. And the delay, like from my perspective for the Library Advisory Board, was they were hoping to save some money. That's really what this is all about, what this whole delay has been about, is that they were hoping to save some money on this project. But at this point, just because everything's getting more and more expensive, every day we wait, everything's going to cost more money. Let's just go with who we know and what we know and get this thing done. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Any more comments from the public?
Carol Gibbs, 1817 West Stearns. I am here to support 8J, and that's the creating a policy for the liquor license. I'm here in support of Iggy, who is a partner of me, Ranchito. Him and Jose have started it. Iggy is a Bedford resident, and he would be willing to give back to the community. I think he is looking right now, and in fact, I know he is. We spoke. He is looking for a larger establishment. I know one of the reasons why he was deprived of the liquor license was because his establishment wasn't large enough, but he's in the process of looking for a larger establishment, which I think would satisfy some of the board's concerns about giving him a liquor license. He does want to grow into the community. He wants to support the community. He is part of the community. So I would highly recommend that you consider him and his restaurant for this liquor license. I believe a policy should be in state, and that it's not just a popularity contest as to who here and who has character reference to get a liquor license. Thank you. And thank you, Bedford Fire.
Thank you for your comments. Any more comments?
Good evening, Logan Tisdale, 1308 Brandywine Street. Thank you to the firefighters. I trooped in a lot of different places in the state of Michigan and dealt with a lot of fire departments, and we certainly have a stellar cadre of men and women who serve us here, so thank you for your service. This is about 8C. You know how many townships there are in the state of Michigan? Anybody know? 1,240. You know how many of those are charter? 139. That's 11%. That means that 1,101 townships function really very well without being charter townships. I am definitely opposed to becoming a charter township. First of all, we talked about that was put into effect, so they worried about townships, areas of being annexed by different cities. I don't think we're going to be annexed by anybody. We're surrounded by general law townships all around us. I don't think Toledo's going to annex us. Maybe they might try, but I don't think they've tried over the last 40 years I've lived here. Also, there's a $5 million tax that they can put on us without even asking us. That cost me about $500. That's a lot of money. And there are other people out there that probably cost even a lot more for. And we're in a time now with an economic crisis and stuff. We don't need a $5 million increase at somebody's discretion that's not up to the voters. This is a general law township. We ought to be able to vote on our taxes. At one time it said no taxation without representation. It says taxation without representation is tyranny. We don't need to be a charter township. Absolutely not. There's no reason for it. We're not going to be annexed. And the bottom line is we need to have control over the money here, and that should be in the hands of the taxpayers. And as a taxpayer, and I'm sure there are other people here, I can't speak for them, but I can speak for myself. I want to be able to vote on tax issues. When we need money and stuff, we can certainly vote on that. We can vote on how many mills. But 5 mills is ridiculous that they can just arbitrarily charge people in this township. They can actually go up to 10 mills, and that has to be through election on the other 5 ones there. And those 5 mills can be done in perpetuity. It could be done forever. There's no way of stopping that. That person could keep those 5 mills on for as long as they're around, and that's not right. We should have representation on every tax bill, and that's why we're a general law township, and we need to keep it that way. So I hope you vote against that we need to stay a general law township. Thank you.
Thank you for comments. Any more comments? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to 8A, vouchers for payment. Ms. Hirschberger?
I'd like to make a motion that the following vouchers be approved for payment. General Fund, $24,021.87. Fire District Fund, $249,426.52. Police Fund, $68.32. Park Operating Fund, $1,838.07. Fire Equipment, $30,036.82. Transit System, $31,195. Downtown Development Authority, $14,658.77. Library Operating Fund, $43,735.45. Sewer O&M Fund, $460,773.40. Trust and Agency Fund, $430.03, for a grand total of $856,184.25.
Support.
Okay, motion in support of Ms. Janizek. Discussion? Okay, seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Hirschberger votes aye. Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni.
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8B, 2022 Poverty Exemption Resolution and Guidelines. This is PA 253 of 2020, amended MCL 211-7U, which requires the Township Board to approve and adopt poverty exemption guidelines on an annual basis. The attached resolution and policy has been updated with the income levels as provided by the United States Department of Health and Human Services for 2022. In addition, you will find the new poverty exemption applications as approved by the State Tax Commission. In the past, we had created and used our own application, but since the passage of the PA 253 of 2020, we must now use a state-approved form. I respectfully request the Township Board approve of the attached poverty exemption resolution and guidelines in order to stay in compliance with MCL 211-7U.
Support.
That was my motion, supported by Mr. Bruning. Any more discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Peroni.
Aye.
Mr. Bruning.
Aye.
Ms. Janjacek.
Aye.
Mr. Montroy.
Aye.
Mr. Gore.
Aye.
Mr. Steiner.
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye.
Okay, the motion passed 7-0. And the agenda item that have been getting calls on all week, 8D,
C.
8C, a resolution regarding whether or not to become a charter township. Ms. Hirschberger's placed this on. This is a requirement after each census to put it on, and
Right.
so she's going to explain it.
So after every census, the Secretary of State sends us a form that says, hey, you qualify to become a charter township. Now you're going to publish this in the paper twice, which we did, and you're going to take it to your board, and you're going to decide. I found out 4 things, not 3. 1, we can adopt the resolution to oppose the incorporation of a charter. We can adopt a resolution that we would like to approve the incorporation of a charter township. We can adopt a resolution to place the question of the incorporation as a charter township before the electorate, or this board can take no action. So I'm coming before you per the law that states that in accordance with the provisions in Section 3A of the Charter Township Act of 1947, PA 359, the certification that your township has a population of 2,000 or more according to the most recent census and therefore is eligible to be incorporated as a charter township. I am completely against this. I don't think we have to do anything. Doing nothing is the same as opposing it.
Everybody good with moving on? Mr. Steiner, question?
I say I'm also complete opposition, so it would be either first one is to oppose it entirely or take no action so it stays the same. So I'm good with either one.
Can we just oppose it now and be done with it, or will this
It won't come back. If we don't do anything, it's like opposing it. It will not come back.
Be 10 years.
Okay. As long as it doesn't
I'm
come back.
opposed as well.
No, it won't come back till the next census when they send us another one saying you're back.
Okay. All right. So moving on. So everybody can. Whew. We're not going to take 5 mils. Okay. So 8D, approve a bid for the installation of a phone system to the Bedford Library. Does anybody want to come represent it? You just want me to speak to it? Jody, you're more than welcome. Come on up. You explained most of it. You know, got to get you off the DOS. So.
Please. I don't know if I really have anything extra to say besides what I had sent to the Township Board. Essentially, we had 5 bids come in for that. The bid that's before you is not the cheapest bid, but we do think that it's a highly reliable system. The cheapest bid we were concerned about, one of our other library buildings, and it's a fairly small branch, had moved to that cheapest service that you see in the bid packet there and had some significant problems, including not being able to use their fax machine for more than 3 months. And, you know, that was a big enough problem at a small branch. It would be a horrendous problem to deal with at a branch like Bedford. So we didn't feel like that was a good enough system for our needs. The person who the Library Advisory Board is recommending is a local resident. He operates his business out of Temperance. He came and did a presentation to the Library Advisory Board. They were pretty happy with what he said. The job does involve, and this is part of why it's expensive, the phone system, all of the phones are wired with Cat 3 cable in the library, and in order to move to a voice over IP is what this system is. Those cables have to be upgraded to at least a Cat 5, which you'd use like on an internet, computer kind of thing. So that's a big deal. That's what a lot of the expense is. It's $7,000 just to update the wiring because it's a big building and that big arch that they have to cover. Like it's going to take a lot of time to redo the wiring, but I don't know.
I know I can speak for probably the whole board in saying if you guys are opposed to the cheapest one because they haven't had a good track record. We all love to use local when we can, and this bid is close enough, to the next highest bid. So I'll make a motion. We move forward with Propel U-4-Ward LLC in the amount of $14,318.57.
Support.
Did I catch everything there that we needed to catch? I know we got the monthly cost of $51.97,
No.
monthly cost of $218, and then that would be the second option for the $51.97. So, Mr. Steiner,
Just a quick comment. As you pointed out, $63.55. That's pretty much less than half of any other bid, and all the negotiations I ever get into, when somebody's less than half on something like this. I mean, if it's $100 and somebody bids 50, okay, maybe you can think about it, but something's totally amiss on that bid. Something's not there. Something got eliminated, or again, it's just one of these services that somebody just says, well, I'll go in and throw it at it. And then next year we'll find a problem and say, now we've got to come back for more money. So,
well, sometimes because IT right. I mean, they came. Remember that they came in way less. It was just they had a capital on that market, but they've done their homework and found that it isn't a reliable system. So that's without that, I think we'd have had to really question, So no, I appreciate that.
And my dot prompt is still flashing. It's not solid yet.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else there, Mr.
I'll just add that I will vote no, as I have voted no to even put it out to bid initially, based off of that. This particular item was not included in anything originally for the millage. It was not documented in almost anything up until maybe very recently, and then that it is above even what it's claimed to have been budgeted for. So just to clear why out of principle, I'll be against it.
Okay. Could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Peroni?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Nay.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye.
Okay, and the motion passed 6-1.
Thank
you,
you.
guys. Appreciate it. Okay, item 8E, approve the bid to install a new chiller at the Bedford Library. Okay, if somebody from the library board would like to come up and try to do your best. I know Mr. Pryor is not feeling the best, so he wasn't able to make it, so we'll Okay, so you all have the packet in front of you. This is something that, yes, we have been talking about for almost 3 years now. And we are to a point to where it was bid out. We do have a contract with Rawlings that he's serviced the chiller we have currently and has for many, many years. What we tried to do to be frugal along with the library advisory board was to try to purchase a chiller from a manufacturer on our own and then hopefully have a reliable installer like Mr. Rawlings install it, Mr. John install it.
Add on to that nobody wants that because they'll sell it to you, but they will not service it.
And that's the problem.
That's a huge problem.
When you purchase a chiller, and John, if you'd like to come up and answer any questions as well, if we have throughout the process, just feel free to come on up. But so we put it out for bid, and it's here in front of us. For the chiller, the cost is a little bit more to go with Rawlings. I know with the time frame, it is past isn't it the 3-month window that they hold their bids for?
It was till December, I believe, the end of December, but he said that he will
So,
hold that price.
So does anybody have any questions or comments with the bid, or it's definitely something that needs to be done. I know the Freon alone, when we have to put Freon in, it's $1,500 to $1,800. You know, we have to do it a few times a year, John. Once a year. So I mean, it is costing us money to keep it up.
And I also think that time is getting short. I know I talked to you about that the other day, Mr. Peroni. Before we know it, even though we're worried about snow right now, it's going to be hot. It's going to get warm, and we're going to need to turn on that air conditioning. And Mr. Rawlings is a member of our community. He has done many things around for the township, and I think it's important that we stay with him, especially since he's going to hold his offer. I know as a business person myself, when February 1st flipped today, it's very scary because we have been told by many manufacturers that we get products off of that everything is going up. I went from paying $80 to $90 a case of 1,000 cups to 153.
Well, the problem is if we do put it back out for bid, prices are going to go up.
Exactly. So,
you know, would I have liked to have seen this yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to have it earlier, but you know, we're at a point now where we've tried to be frugal and, you know, and save money, and we don't want to put this back out for bid because prices will go up.
we also don't
from
want
what
to,
they are.
I mean, we don't know how long it's going to take to get the chiller.
Well, it'll be 12 to 14 weeks for the chiller, and then so it will be really great timing
Yeah.
if we move forward
Right.
now. If we
Right.
put it out for bid, it's another 3 months before we get to this point right here. So, so if we bid it out now or approve it tonight, it'll be 12 to 14
Right.
weeks before it gets there, and then I'm sure Mr. John Rawlings can get moving on the installation. So, contractors will install but not warrant the chiller. They'll just warranty their work. This is a problem because the township would have to deal with manufacturers direct on warranty issues. It's not like John could just come over and fix it. We're going to have to be dealing with the warranty, so that will be an issue. So yeah, so I'm all for moving forward with it. And this chiller, when we had one contractor look at it, it technically could be, this chillers can be shut down by the federal government if they don't meet the requirements, and this one's about there. So, you know, so I just thought I'd add those few things. So, anybody else have any comments or questions? Anything for John, Mr. Steiner?
Just a quick question. I mean, we're looking at 2 other bids that are 22,000 less. Since we only have the real proposal here on the one, can we tell what the real difference is in $22,000? I don't know. So we've got one bid at 46.9. We've got another one that got a breakdown.
Well, that's
that comes up
just
to
the
about
purchase of the
45.
chiller.
Okay, so those
So
are just the
that's
purchases.
just the purchase of the chiller. So
Okay.
the difference is John gave us 2 bids. He gave us one with the purchase of the chiller and one with installation.
That
so the
clarifies it.
So the 46.9, you're right. It is, you know, John's is 58,000
Okay.
compared to the 46.9. So if you want to speak.
Yeah,
to
that
John,
helps
go ahead.
because it looks misleading that way
Yeah.
because it's not written out. So we probably should have put without installation on the other one so we know
That's
that.
the bid you asked for is just for equipment.
Is your button on?
Installation.
Right, but the other
pull
ones
that
are
together?
not there.
No.
That's why.
And the suppliers on there is who I would buy from, one of them. I figured this price out based on my contract with you. I feel this job was mine to begin with because of our contract, and I figured that job out according to our contract. Your next bid, mine was 68. Your next bid was 99,000. Excuse me. That's all I can say.
So yeah, in the end, with using John, it'll be cheaper to do. So
I mean, I figured that, but if anybody's looking at this document and doesn't know any better, we need to get that out there because somebody's going to say, why did you guys authorize 22,000 more on a bid? Because if somebody does look at what's out and published on the website, they're going to see a different number. So at
yeah,
least
so I
Well, what was asked for on that bid was a quote for the equipment only.
Correct.
I might have muddied it up by putting the installation in there.
So the whole plan all along, Mr. Steiner, was to get bids on equipment and then have John install.
But I'm just saying, this is out on the website. If somebody sees it, they're going to question, say, why did you guys do it?
Yep.
So I just want that
Well, I
clarified.
think I think that we needed to. The other information could be added to clarify on it. You know,
What?
the other information.
There's
if
no
there's-
other information. The bid they requested was just the equipment.
So that's
They
all
didn't
I
ask
see.
for installation. That's why installation is not included on any of the other bids. John threw the installation price.
Because we were going to have
Because
him
we were
install
gonna-
it.
That's the only reason his says installation. But it was not asked for from the other company.
Previously in September, I believe you asked for a full price bid on that. I think it went out for bid then too. I didn't bid on it at that time, so.
So I'm good with that, and I'll make the motion. We accept the bid of Rawlings Heating and Cooling for the price of a chiller at $58,000 plus the installation, which will total a cost of $69,500.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported by Mr. Bruning. Is any more discussion?
I would just add that this is I'll be in support of this, as this is possibly the most important job from the library millage, and I'm very happy to finally see it coming to fruition. And that happened without it failing in July. That's good.
All right, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0.
I would also add with both of those, we're getting, I guess, to budget season, and I don't know if that's when that'll all be addressed, but there's definitely going to have to be budget adjustments for a lot of this before the fiscal year is up, because this is significantly over the annual budget for the library.
I did ask Bob about that before the meeting. He is here if you want him to say something right now about that.
I would just assume it's something that just needs to be done.
He did mention that we would have to make a budget adjustment, yes. But it is in their fund balance, yes.
Okay, all right, moving on to 8F, approval to hire a part-time firefighter and paramedic. Chief Massey?
Thank you. I'll try to be as brief as I can. So we're working through a couple things that, as I'd indicated in a staff report that I sent out to the board earlier this month, as far as addressing staffing challenges, staffing issues. One component of that is spring hiring that we bring forward to the board. We are fortunate this time around that one of the candidates that applied has everything, including the physical agility test, done already. So as we've been able to do a few times in the past, we can bring one of the candidates forward early, start the FTO process, and start moving forward with a part-time applicant or the applicant in the FTO process, which will, number one, get us another certified firefighter paramedic right away available to us, and second, ease the burden when we hopefully bring a group on a little bit later in the year. We'll have one of them out of the way and already filling a position for us. So at this time, we would certainly recommend that firefighter paramedic Courtney Millar be appointed as a part-time firefighter paramedic with the department.
Anybody have any questions for Chief?
I have
Mr. Bruni?
a question. Was this job posted, Adam?
Yes, sir. So,
Did you have any other applicants?
yeah, we have. So we've got a committee. I think they reviewed probably and did interviews in probably 14 or 15 applicants. I think there's probably 8 or 10 still in the process, but they need to bring back results from an agility test probably when the weather breaks in March. So you can expect this to be hopefully one of a good handful as we continue to try to move towards membership of 60, which is the ultimate goal.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else? Comments?
Yeah.
Hirschberger?
Chief, is this candidate on a current fire department? Or because with all the certifications, that's why I'm asking.
Yes, so she works, I believe, part-time as well. So she's a senior paramedic with Monroe Community Ambulance. So she brings in some good experience as a paramedic. She's also, I believe, part-time with Flat Rock Fire Department.
about time we start attracting people here. We always see them going. Now they're starting to come, so good. We're doing something right. Anybody else have any more questions? Okay. Yeah, look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the hire for a part-time firefighter paramedic in Courtney Miller as presented.
Support.
Okay, motion in support of Mr. Gore. Any more discussion? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8G, approval to promote a captain to deputy chief in the fire department. Chief?
Yes, so this is part of what you could expect to see in the next couple of months. We're also sorting out the command structure a little bit. So as we've evolved and as we've grown, as our numbers are getting closer to 60, we start to see our command structure expand again. Back, well, before my time here, we had multiple chiefs and deputy chiefs, assistant chiefs and deputy chiefs. That had shrunk down as our membership declined. As we're continuing to grow, at this time we feel it's prudent to add another deputy chief position, and we're going to do a little bit of rearranging of the structure. So we'll have two deputy chief positions, one that's generally tasked with overseeing paid on-call membership, one that's generally tasked with overseeing the full-time membership, and then they'll report up the chain of command to the assistant chief, and then on up to me as a chief. So we, as I said, and we'll be sharing this with the board probably, we've got some interviews coming up for additional promotions. We're likely to bring back some promotions as we continue to fill the chain of command in the next couple months. But this would be the first step in that. That kind of allows us to address a log jam with some lower positions, with some lieutenant positions, and spread that command structure out a little bit.
I just want to say, I mean, there's, Doug is, an amazing guy. He continually serves his community above and beyond what the call of duty is, and I know I appreciate you and everything you do, and you're well deserving of this position, so we appreciate you. So he's got my support.
Does this come with any sort of, excuse me, budgetary changes or anything as far as that?
No, sir. So the full-time wage is still the same.
Okay.
I think that so our officers receive an annual stipend for being officers. So small.
Okay.
Don't tell the officers.
Just
it's
means
small,
you'll have to
but
buy donuts
it's,
on Friday.
It's not significant change.
Okay.
So, but yes.
Chief, was going back to the previous hiring, was this position appointed? Was there an interview committee? Was there other people that were considered or interviewed for the position?
So our policy manual, and I double-checked it because I had some question today, so I double-checked the policy manual to make sure it was in line. So command staff positions, which are the assistant chiefs and deputy chiefs, are appointed by the fire chief. Company officer positions would work through a process that include the interviews, exams, written testing, a panel interview, things like that. That being said, even though the policy allows for it, if we had multiple candidates that were in a position to take it, I would certainly have set up some form of interview process and a scoring system. At this time, Captain Steinman is the only qualified candidate that can move from captain position into that full-time deputy chief's position. So,
I have questions, Paul. What are the qualifications for deputy chief? What's needed for that position?
So let me see if I've got it. But the deputy chief position, as outlined in our policy and procedure manual. Let me look and see if I have one. I don't believe I have a copy of it with me. Generally speaking, and I want to be careful not to overstate or understate, but a number of years of experience with the organization, a number of years of experience in a leadership role within the organization. There would be certainly the certifications for firefighter up to and including fire officer certifications and positions. I think that the chief level positions are unique to the line officer positions in that it requires some college education or some continuing education, although I'm not 100% sure that the captain's positions don't require that as well. But essentially speaking, it aligns with a leadership position, certainly as with all officer positions. So MIOSHA mandates MIOSHA requirements. There's an annex called Annex A that dictates and aligns what the qualifications are for fire officer positions at different levels. So certainly at every step of the process, we make sure that we're following the MIOSHA training requirements. The state of Michigan, the Bureau of Fire Service, has recently expanded and changed the law, I think back in November, to address some continuing education credits and things that are going to be needed moving forward. And not just for this position, but I'm excited for all the successive positions that we have moving forward, or successive promotions that we're going to be addressing. All of our candidates that we'll bring forward for the first time will meet that MIOSHA mandate, that MIOSHA annex. So we've worked really hard for the last 5 years, making sure that we're training up both our membership and our officers so that they can promote and they can move forward to that next level. This is a case where, again, my apologies for not having it in front of me, but paraphrasing it, it's generally accurate.
That's fine. I'm not going to hold you to it, but just from what you've mentioned, does Doug have those qualifications that you mentioned?
Yes, sir. So.
Okay. Now, right now, Doug is currently the fire inspector and fire investigator. Does he have those qualifications?
He has got his fire inspector certification. He is not the designated fire investigator for the organization. He oversees the investigation. COVID has canceled a number of investigative schools, so I'd have to check and see when the last one was. But
the reason I ask, because I had Trudy look at his personnel file. There's no qualifications in there for that. So if he does have the qualifications, I'd like you to get them to Trudy and also let me know.
Sure. Absolutely. So, yeah, the investigator, no, I'm sure of, because it's been canceled.
Okay. And then now, for this deputy chief position, why were others not considered for this position? Initially, I thought a perfect fit would be, Kathy Benkowski, but now come to find out she already is.
Yes.
So she got that, and I don't even think the board was aware of that, so we're going to have to, swear her in or do that, okay, but I think that was a great fit. And then also, why not, just the people I'm thinking of off the top of my head, Phil Dale. Phil Dale would be perfect. Rod Hill, Scott Duvall. Why none of those?
Deputy Chief Bankowski has been serving as deputy chief. She was caught up, I believe, in a structure fire on a swearing-in night, and we canceled it. It was on the agenda, and we ran into a COVID pandemic problems, so we're going to bring a number of officers back in for some swearing-ins. But yes, you're absolutely correct. So as part of the restructuring, she'll be looking at, or she'll be overseeing the paid on call membership. So we have Captain Duvall does not meet the MIOSHA Part 74 Annex A requirements. Captain Dale is an administrative. He's moved into an administrative position.
Okay. Those are just ones off the top of my head that I thought of.
The rest would be some lieutenants that you've named. I'd have to double check, but I don't believe have the qualifications that meet the job description.
Okay.
In fact, I'm sure that that's the case. So.
Another question for you. Why was the Fire Advisory Board not even asked for input on this? I called them, and they didn't even know that this was happening.
Normally, with the promotional process, we haven't, at least historically, went through the Fire Advisory Board for internal promotions. It's handled either, at least in the case of Assistant Chief Keene and Deputy Chief Bankowski, it was handled by me. So.
Okay. And now also, I've talked to a lot of firefighters about this. I have not found one that agrees with this appointment. They find this would be a bad move for the fire department. It would worsen morale already than it was. So what is your reasoning for this appointment?
The reason for the appointment, as I said, sir, is that we're doing some structural changes to make us more reflective of the combination department that we are. We certainly, well, I can understand apprehension. Anytime we make personnel moves, there's opinions and apprehension as far as promotions. I think this is a case that it's certainly going to serve the residents and serve the department well. So hence the recommendation today.
Okay.
So I don't know that I could speak necessarily to individual firefighters' concerns. I know that it was addressed with the organization or through the ranks earlier that it was coming forward tonight. I've yet to have anybody come to my office and share concerns about
The problem, they're afraid of retaliation because everyone I talk to, they're like, "This, you can't use my name. This is off the record." So that's what it is, and understandably so, because I know what happened when I was on the fire department. You bring something up like this, they get rid of you.
I certainly hope we're past the days of retaliation. In fact, I certainly expect us to be past any days of retaliation.
I can speak to that. Since I've been elected supervisor, I haven't seen anything like that or heard of anything like that. When I was trustee, I would get letters on a regular basis. Anonymous, haven't seen a bit of that. Things have totally changed since this man has taken over and turned this department upside down in a positive way and gotten us in a direction to where I'm super proud of. And I trust his judgment. I trust this appointment, and I think he's doing an amazing job. And I know Doug will. So, anybody else have any comments or
I'm
questions?
not done yet, Paul. I still have more questions.
I thought you were done with your questions.
Oh, no.
Well, I mean, a lot of these questions, though, to be quite honest, we should be asking him before because, I mean, he doesn't have time to get stuff and bring policies to meetings. We need to get people
That's why I even told him I'm not holding him to it on the policy. Now, for you, Adam. So, are you or have you interviewed or applied for a job elsewhere?
Yes, sir. I'm aware that my contract's coming up. The board has the ability to opt out, so I've been keeping an eye out. I think it would be prudent for my family to be keeping an eye out to make sure that should their contract be opted out, that I still have a plan moving forward. So
I'm totally fine with that. I just want the board to know you are looking elsewhere.
Yes, sir.
Fine with that. Another question for you. Where are you currently living at? Where do you preside? What's your address?
So I've got a mailing address on Rouk Road for some property that I own. I am.
That's a vacant lot, though.
I'm currently staying.
Are we really going to start questioning where Chief is living at a public meeting? And I mean, what are we doing
Actually,
here?
I'll tell you where I'm going with this.
What are we
Paul.
doing here? I mean, I'm just saying.
I think Adam is going to look for a job elsewhere. I think he is, and there's nothing wrong with that. Adam's looking for a job elsewhere. He's going to leave. He wants to appoint Doug into a position where is not good. He's setting the township up for failure is what he's doing. Adam's on his way out, and he's going to stick us with Doug at this position that the firefighters don't want. So that's where I'm going with this, Paul. That's why I'm asking these questions.
Well, I don't know. It's the first I've heard of a lot of what you're saying, and I just don't know.
That's what happens when you talk to the firefighters, Paul. That's where I got all this information.
I talk to them on a regular basis. I don't hear what you're hearing.
Mr. Peroni, I'm comfortable answering the question
Go ahead.
if you'd like. Few weeks ago, I started staying with my grandparents, helping my grandmother. My grandfather was sick. He's since passed away. I continue to stay with her. It's within 8 miles of the township, which is a condition of my employment. The requirement was within 20 miles of the township border. At least for right now, I'm going to continue to assist my grandmother and stay with her and help her out until something changes. It has not affected my ability to respond back in to help cover the shifts, to respond to the calls or take care of the calls, sir. So.
Okay, that's fine. And then the last question I have here, you brought up the officer stipends.
Mm-hmm.
So and I talked to Bob Miller about this, so this is where I got my information from. So for the stipends, and it actually adds up to quite a bit. There's no stipulation to it. You don't have to make any calls, just if you're an officer. So we have, let's see, Kurt Keene, again, this is how much they get just for being an officer. $2,500, Benkowski $2,500, Duvall $2,000, Dale $2,000, Steinman $4,500, Bills $4,000, Hall $2,500. I'm going to mess this name up. Kineski $1,500, Perriott $2,000, Hill $1,500. I'm going to mess this one up too. Van Klingren $1,500, Brushaber Senior $1,500, Arnold $1,500, McBride $500, and then yourself, Adam, $5,000. That adds up to $35,000 of taxpayer money. So this is money taxpayers just for being an officer. Here you go. You don't even have to do anything. You don't have to make one call, and you are given this just for being an officer. So those stipends do add up, Craig.
So they absolutely do, sir. So in November of 2019, the board voted on the current full-time policy manual, which includes that stipend allotments. I believe it was 6-0 approval. We'd be happy to review or revisit with the board at any time the current policy manual. But yes, we've budgeted. I think that was the amount budgeted. It's an annual stipend for officers. The decision was made years ago to give stipends in lieu of adding multiple pay steps, or different rates of pay. So it's far easier as far as the processing of payroll to have only 2 hourly rates or a couple of hourly rates, and address officer responsibilities and officer duties through stipends. If the board would like to address that or change that and add various hourly wages, then that could certainly be done. So, but it's again up to you folks as a board.
And then I have one more question. For Doug Steinman, so does he currently draw a salary as the inspector, but then he gets paid hourly? Essentially, he double dips?
No, sir. So back in November of 2020, his position was changed. So the administrative position, the administrative fire inspector position was eliminated. It was replaced with a operational firefighter, and he was assigned the inspection or oversight of the inspection, just like everybody's assigned. Again, per the policy manual, anyone that follows that policy manual, any of our operational firefighters, EMTs or firefighter paramedics are hourly, and I double checked that tonight. So they're all hourly, and according to the policy manual, fall under the overtime provisions of the Fair Labor Standards Act. So back when the board addressed that in November of 2020, we made a conversion as part of probably a long-term vision of the department. So while the board was sensitive at that time, not to have a negative impact with the change to Doug, we want to look long-term. So in the future, we don't necessarily want to have a dedicated fire inspector or administrative position. We want them to function in multiple roles. It serves our residents best if they function in multiple roles. So you're very likely, or it's very possible that at some point when he retires, that the position will be operational, assigned, and may even be a 24-hour position or something like that. So it's at that time, it was a little bit of housekeeping that's going to set us up for some success in the future.
Who's doing fire inspections right now?
He is doing fire inspectors right now. So.
Hey, anybody else have any comments or questions?
Chief, you answered a lot of questions. So my issue is not with this, the selection, because Mr. Steinman is a great community member, a great person. My issue was always with the process. The Fire Advisory Board wasn't made aware of this. We didn't even know this was coming down till late Thursday when we had our board packets. No heads up, no interview, or anything of that nature. And that's the issue that I had. But you said the other possible candidates were not MIOSHA certified. And Mr. Steinman checks all the boxes.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And there's no pay increase, or will there be a pay increase?
Short of the stipend, So it's the annual increase is going to be,
And-
so it's not an hourly wage increase, no, sir.
And is this part of past practice that it's been done this way in the past with previous deputy chiefs, where the chief can just select somebody without testing, interview process, or anything like that?
Yes, sir. So the policy manual predates me. So the language in the policy manual as far as the chief level positions predates my position. I think it was around 2014 or 2015. I think Chief Ruiz had a hand in some revisions at that time, but I'm not 100% sure of that.
So some of the qualifications, they have to be, I understand that probably the lieutenants and captains have to test for their positions.
Correct.
But the deputy chief can be appointed by you, and it can be anybody.
That's correct, as long as it meets the, so we've got an adopted job description. So it essentially could be anybody that meets that job description, yes, sir.
Okay.
I have a question.
Like I said,
Mr. Springer?
it's-
Oh, we don't.
I'm
we
just
done?
saying,
Sorry.
it's just not the selection, it's the process.
Well, if we don't like the process, we should change the policy.
Well, and that's right, and I agree
Because
with
he's-
that, and that needs to be done.
If there's one thing that this board is all about, it's policy.
It's policy,
And,
correct.
He's following it.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, we can't knock him for that. I mean, if we want it to be an interview process and take it to the committee, and then we need to put it in there. But he has sole right to this appointment.
Correct, and I would have liked to have seen this come, or at least a heads up a while ago, maybe a few weeks ago. Hey, just so you know, this is coming down the pipe. This is something we're looking at. Maybe the Fire Advisory Board is made aware. Again, we didn't know anything about it until Thursday.
And neither did they.
So,
But then again, if we have to write the policy, we have to put things in the policy. You know what I'm saying? Because we have agendas. We get agenda on a Tuesday. We got time to do our homework and call them and ask all these questions. Go talk to firemen if that's what we want to. But you know what I mean? We can't knock him for that.
I'm not knocking
know,
him for that.
no.
I just would like to.
Is this
have
a
more
new
heads up.
position?
It is so.
Because I have not seen this.
So deputy chiefs were before, there was multiple deputy chiefs before I was here.
And that's why I'm asking, because I was around then.
Mm-hmm.
It was not good. That's why we got rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't want that. It failed. It divided our fire department. We swore we would never do it again because we did not want to divide this fire department again. I am completely against doing this. It has nothing to do with Doug. I like Doug. He's great. He'd be great at it. I do not want to see this fire department go through what I saw this fire department go through in 2013. It was horrible. And I know Doug can speak for that. He was here. He lived through that. I do not want to see that again. I do not want multiple divisions in this fire department again.
So, my assumption is at that time, I believe at that time there was a different district chief that oversaw each station. I think there was 2 district chiefs that may have been called deputy chiefs. My understanding was, I think when I arrived here, or prior to me arriving here, so Chief Keene was a deputy chief before he was moved up to the assistant chief position. So as recently as probably 2017 or 2018, we still had a deputy chief position that then he moved into the assistant chief position for. But I would agree with you. We have proven, probably well before my time and time again, that when we separate or we think of ourselves as separate stations, it starts to cause problems for us, which is why we've eliminated. You'll see probably either 1 or 2 annual reports ago, we used to list our membership at different stations. It caused division. It's not reflective of where we are or who we are today. And we eliminated that. We are no longer identifying our membership by stations. We're identifying them but through the rank structure and the command structure. Largely now, they're identified by the function that they're doing. So even a paid-on-call member, and it's going to change at different times. So a paid-on-call member that's functioning as a paid-on-call member, if they would have a question under our new structure, would work through the paid-on-call chain of command. If the paid-on-call members, and many of them do, is working a shift, then they would contact the officer that's on shift that day. It should clear up a little bit of confusion, but you're certainly right, ma'am. I don't think that we want to return to the days of different district or different leadership in different districts. we work pretty hard right now
No,
to try to
and we
think of
had one
ourselves.
chief, and then the different deputy chiefs, and that's what caused the issue. As long as we had one of everything, it was good. As soon as we started separating and say, okay, you're under them, we had a division, and I don't want to. I would like to see Doug get put back as the fire inspector and the investigator. We put a lot of money into training him and getting him ready for that position. A couple years, I believe, we got him to that. I would like to see him doing that role again.
Well, he has never stopped doing that role. He still continues to do that role. It's just a class. He's considered both operational as well as an inspector and overseeing the prevention.
Well, I'd like him to go to school, get the investigators. We have an investigator again. I mean, we went from a fire marshal to a fire inspector who now he's doing other things too. I just feel like we're putting a lot of our eggs in one basket.
And also, Chief, to answer that, no, he's not doing his job. You want to know the last time I was inspected at my shop? 2019. You know how I know that? Because I checked the fire extinguisher today. When Ron Whipple was inspector, it's nothing I think about. It's oh man, I'm getting inspected again. Here comes Ron. And it's easy. I have 2 fire extinguishers, 2 smoke alarms. I have to make sure the batteries work on the exit lights. It's a simple inspection. Normally what happens, my fire extinguishers need to be inspected, and Ron comes back next week. And the same thing happened when Doug inspected me the first time. I haven't been inspected since. I looked at my fire extinguisher today, and it's tagged 2019 December. It says this will expire a year from now, which means 20. I haven't been inspected in 2 years. He's not doing his job.
Well, part of that could be with COVID. I don't know. I don't want to speak to his job, but I'm sure there's been some issues with that.
I'll certainly follow up on that, sir. I mean, I can't speak with it either tonight, but I'll check.
Trudy asked the question if this was, did we get the answer, is this a new position or is it just
So, I don't know how to answer that.
I understand the concept.
Sure.
But is this a new position?
It is it's new within the current command structure, yes. As we continue to grow, it's not new in that, I believe chief, the last time there was 2 deputy chiefs, there was an EMS deputy chief and a fire deputy chief. I believe that perhaps Mr. Brooks was the EMS chief, and I think Chief Keene was the fire chief. Yes, so there was 2 deputy chiefs. At some point before I got here, one over fire and one over EMS.
Well, I've got a thought. Why don't we table this? Let Chief go back and get some of the information, some of the questions we have, answers we have questions to, and if he wants to bring it back next meeting, we can do that. I mean, because there's some questions that
He answered all my questions.
Well, but whether or not it's a new position, and
It is new.
It is a new position. You said it is.
and the policy.
Is there any way that we can table this long enough we can look at the policy and then
That's what I'm saying.
And then have
there's
them
still some questions out there.
go
so.
through the policy and then bring it back? 'Cause that's my
Policy's
only-
been worked on a lot. I think I don't even know if it ever came back and was adopted. I think we're still working with the one from 14 because it's been worked on multiple times but never came back to our board for approval.
That was before my time, so I'm not sure
Yeah.
about.
2014 was the last time it was adopted. The one that Chief has been working on has never come to this board to finally be approved. It came back a couple times, and then the trustees sent it back. So it's never been brought back to us to be formally approved.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion. We table the agenda item.
I'll support.
Okay, motion in support of Mr. Gore. Any more discussion? Comments, Chief? Anything else? Okay. Could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Peroni,
Aye.
Mr. Gore,
Aye.
Mr. Bruning,
Aye.
Mr. Montry,
Aye.
Mr. Steiner,
Aye.
Ms. Janusik.
Aye.
Bushberger votes no.
Okay, motion passed 6-1. Okay, moving on to 8H, approval to convert 3 part-time positions to full-time positions in the fire department. Chief?
Yes, sir. Sure. So as we've continued to balance, and we worked under the current model for a full 12 months, so we could have some good data to capture ahead of presenting a staffing report to the board. We have, as we wrap up, and we're looking at multiple different areas. we're acutely aware that we have the ability to, or have a need to convert 3 of our current positions, so we don't need to increase. Certainly, we're still trying to get to the 60. We don't need to increase our positions, but we feel it would be appropriate to convert 3 of our positions right now from the part-time positions to full-time positions. Now, looking at our long-term budget, on July 1st with the new budget, we've been planning and looking at that and plan to have that budgeted. What we didn't anticipate was a couple of things. Number one, a huge spike, a huge increase in call volume over the past year. And coupled with that, or going along with that, is some unexpected revenue that was generated as part of that call volume. So what we've been looking at right now is converting 3 of those positions. We're bringing it forward to the board. What we'd like to do is convert those, move forward with an interview process, be looking at how we're going to work on filling those positions. We certainly have, again, the ability to look at internal candidates first, not go outside. We've got qualified candidates internally. We understand that there's a couple different ways in the short term that we might look at funding this. So certainly we've spoke with Mr. Miller or shared with Mr. Miller that if ARPA funding is available for this, we certainly want to have that utilized. If that's not the case, moving forward for the funding of this, again, we've still budgeted for it in the long term. We have got a considerable amount of unanticipated revenue to start the positions early, and based on our call volume, we certainly think it would be prudent to look at filling or funding these positions. So the intent tonight is to bring it forward to the board. If the approval is to convert these 3 positions, then we would move forward with an interview process. We would move forward to and bring back both some budget amendments as well as recommendations for who would fill these 3 positions in the future.
Mr. Gore?
We have budget for it. It's within your budget. You've
Yes.
already budgeted for it.
So it was not part of the 2021-2022 budget, but we have got considerable increase in revenue that will allow for starting it a few months early. And based on call volume, we think it would be wise to start it early. So we'll take it a budget adjustment. Yes,
You're
sir.
probably going to need them for the next 2 days. So you're going to make it happen quick.
Right.
So, all right.
We continue to try to balance. I think it talks about it or explains it in the report. We continue to try and balance the paid-on-call membership with a full-time membership. We did touch on the standard of cover, and our members are working hard. They're doing a great job, but this will help continue to maintain the balance. Various board members at different times, and even the community, have asked me, when are we going to be a full-time department? And my answer is always the same. We'll continue to maintain balance until paid-on-call membership doesn't have the desire or ability to continue helping. Every time we see, and that's not just us, so we see volunteerism across the region, across the country. So every time we start losing volunteerism as far as responding in, we have to increase proportionately our full-time positions. So there's no magic time where I can say next Thursday at 2 p.m. or 2028, that's when the change is going to happen. We're just going to continue to have to balance it out.
Thank you.
Any more comments or discussion?
I have a question.
Mr. Sperger?
You say that there's money in the budget. My concern is we just raised our millage to sustain the 4 we had and add 3 more. Now you want to add 3 more on top of that.
Yes. And,
How are we going to do that? Our millage was just barely enough to sustain the ones we had.
So generally speaking, we're not creating positions, so the staffed hours are still there. The staffed hours are still there. All we're really creating is benefited positions. So if we look at the number of hours that some of our part-time members are putting in, it's generally some of them are putting in that same or considerable to full-time hours just to meet our standard of cover, just to meet our minimums. So it's not the creation of 3 positions at a rate of about $100,000. It would be more about the $30,000. The $100,000 is benefits and wages. It would be picking up benefits for membership that are already putting in those hours.
So it add about 120,000 is what you're saying, roughly.
It would be generally
90,
it's between 30
roughly.
and 35,000 in benefit positions, so 105 for the 3 positions each year, which we're able to budget for.
Just want to make sure we, along with Trudy, that their budget's there. We're in about 3 or 4 years from now, we come back and we got to lay people off because we don't have the money.
Sure.
We
That's
gotta
that's
think
my
long
question. I
term.
want to make
Yeah.
sure.
And it, like I'm reading at the bottom of your memo here, it says the department has asked that a portion of the ARPA funds be utilized to fund the positions beyond 2021 and 2022. ARPA funds shouldn't be used for longevity items. It should be grants or budgeted in.
So our understanding is that, and again, it's not anything that we can answer today. Obviously, our first choice is if there's ARPA funds available, if we qualify for them for the benefited positions for the first couple of years, it's not going to be something that is that the department budget has to sustain. If that's not the case, then we can still continue budgeting for it, and it will fit within our long-term budget. So.
I look at it as, we get the emails every week of the struggles that the fire department has. It's not easy to continue to maintain the call volume that they have. The board has to figure something out for longevity to maintain a solid fire department. He's told us multiple times the volunteerism isn't there. I see it. Everybody sees it. People aren't volunteering like they used to. And it's just like our beautification committee we used to have. I couldn't replace 15 to 25 ladies that would garden in this community. It's just, things have changed. People are busier than they ever have been. And I tell you what, if I'm sitting at my table with my family, I wouldn't want to get up and go to a fire and leave them on a consistent basis. What these people have done over the years, you hear the stories of getting up at night and leaving the family. It's a thankless job. So, we have to listen to his emails or not trust him.
I agree with you completely. We just got to make sure we can sustain it, afford it, and sustain it. That's.
If we were talking 450,000, yeah, we're talking 100,000. It's to keep some solid positions. We're not talking, you know what I'm saying? If the positions weren't there and we were just talking about creating 4 new positions, I would be questioning a lot more. But
and we can afford it. I'm all for it.
Well, like I said, with the ARPA, everybody's saying, hey, if the ARPA's there and I can use it, let's use it before we use our general fund. Our ARPA committee, it's not easy to figure out how to use it. We've got some things rolling,
But you can't use it for longevity costs.
No, correct.
Right.
So the answer is no. Then you know what I'm saying. So he's just saying if you can, hey, let's tap into it.
Yeah, I'm absolutely not.
Everybody at the so.
Yeah. No, my issue is again the same, sustainability, because we went for that millage. We made sure it was enough to sustain the 7. Now we want to add 3 more, which I'm not saying we don't need. I agree. We need more. I just want to make sure that 3 years down the line when the millage is gone, then we're saying, oh, sorry, you're going to have to go back to part-time. You're going to have to go back to part-time. We can't keep you full-time anymore.
Let me have Bob come for a quick second. Bob, with the budget we have and the funds that we consistently have coming into this community, do you think we can budget another $100,000?
Well, he says
effectively long term.
We'd have to look. He references unanticipated increases in revenue. So I'd like to ask Adam, can we anticipate that going in the future?
So for as long as the service model is what it is, for as long as we are functioning as a advanced life support transporting agency backing up, yes, we can anticipate continued revenue. Now, if this board or future boards reverses, the direction of the department, if we scale back services, if we stop acting as a transporting agency, then certainly our revenue is going to be reflective of the level of service that we're giving to our residents.
And that's the direction this board took years ago, is when we went from basic life support to advanced life support. It changed the fire department in ways. But that was my question, Bob. Do you see with the budget?
Yes, there's current money there now, and I think what he's saying is it was unanticipated up to this point, but now he can anticipate it going forward.
Okay. Okay. So I think that, so any more comments, questions? Okay. All right, I look for a motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve to convert 3 part-time positions to full-time positions in the fire department.
Second.
Okay, motion and supported by Mr. Steiner. Any more discussion?
What's the process? What's the process of filling those positions then?
So we're working long-term on an eligibility list for anybody that has interest. So we'll work through, generally speaking, it would be like a cognitive written exam, exam that evaluates personality, so personality exam, as well as a panel interview that would then create a scoring system and rankings for the members that are interested. Then we will bring those, once the committee identifies the best candidates for the positions, we would bring that back to the board. Certainly, now that we know that the board's comfortable with it, we'll also work with Mr. Miller, as we stated in the request, to make sure that before we bring back actually filling those positions and a start date for those positions, we'll make sure that our ducks are in a row as far as budgeting, both for the rest of this year, and make sure that we're sharing with the board the long-term, the long-term look at the budget. So we are, we've got some general budgets developed through the end of our existing millage. So we're looking at it, even though the farther out we get, they're continue being loose projections, but we can certainly look ahead 5 and 7 years and anticipate where we'll be at roughly as a department.
And you see this relieving a lot of the issue.
It will provide some relief. It will help with our standard of cover. The things that we've got in our standard of cover are absolutely important for delivering service to the residents. So, yeah, I think it's pretty important that we start moving towards these 3 positions to make sure that we can stabilize the service delivery.
Okay. Could you call a roll, please?
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye. The motion passed 7-0.
Yeah.
Okay, item.
Chief, before you leave, one quick question. Mr. Bruning brought it up. I want to make sure that we get clarification. If you have any of the personnel records at your station, could they come over to be put into the personnel records?
Oh, absolutely.
Because it seems like I'm not getting the updates for everyone on their certifications and
So-
everything in their files, and they really need to be in their personnel files.
I think that we have, we worked pretty hard last year scanning them in, so I think it's as easy as sending you the scans over. So, yeah, we'll check on that tomorrow.
If anybody has to go, feel free. Don't worry about us. Go ahead. You're fine. I know you got kids. It's okay. I have 5 too. Okay. Item 8I, approval of 4 change orders for the renovation of Fire Station 2, plus 1 change order for fire suppression system, and 1 for the fire alarm system. These are all separate motions. Mr. Jacobs, appreciate you being here.
Yes, good evening. Pleasure to be here. I thought that with tonight, with some of these change orders, it would probably be best to be here to answer questions if there are any. What I'd like to start with, though, is just a brief update of how things are going. The 3 prime contractors that we have working on the project are cooperating very well together, and progress is moving along at a very good pace, and with little incident. Things are progressing well, I guess, is the point that I'm trying to make there. And then the result of these change orders, or the cause of these change orders, is not related to the discrepancy in bidding that we saw. Van Tassel's been performing very well. There have been no noticeable voids in the bidding. They haven't had trouble completing the work as they stated. So this is truly scope increases for a variety of reasons. I think the easiest 2 to start with are the fire suppression system and the fire alarm system. When that project was bid, it was unknown whether we would be moving forward with the renovation work. So the apparatus bay was designed to be suppressed and monitored as a bay. When we move forward with the construction for the build out of that as office space, that changed the approved permitted drawings that both contractors had, so the redoing of those drawings for the new layout, and to provide the additional heads and monitoring devices are all related to the approval of that project. The fortunate thing is that they had not installed any of that, so the change order that we see is pretty, I feel, pretty reasonable for those two modifications. Had we done this, waited a few years, and then made the modifications, that would be much more, probably in the tune of $7,000-8,000 in change orders or more, because the whole system would have had to been shut down, removed from that area, and then put back in. But as it stands, they stopped when they put the main in, waited for the work because we knew it was coming at that point. So they stopped and held that area and cooperated with us to keep that change order to a minimum. So that's what the change order is before you for the fire alarm and fire suppression is related to those modifications. I don't know if you want to take action on those two right now.
Anybody
or
have any
keep
questions
going
on
with,
this
explanation.
change order? Okay, I look for a motion on this first change order.
Which one are we doing first?
Fire suppression.
Okay, that's in the back.
That would be a change order to border for fire protections dated January 24th.
Yeah, it's like the third or fourth page from the back.
The back page.
Second to
Third
last.
page.
I'll make a motion. We approve the change order. It's change order number 2. The project is Bedford Fire Station number 2, fire suppression. Contract is changed as follows. Adding $1,700. Original contract sum $62,400. Add $2,840. Add $1,700. New contract sum is $66,940,000.
Support. Are you adding both?
I'm just reading right what we were given, straight down.
Okay.
Oh, do we have a support? Who supported? Do we have a support?
Joe supported it.
Oh,
Oh.
Joe supported. Okay, I didn't hear that support. Okay, any more discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0.
Okay,
Thank
wow,
you.
which one do we-
The second one would be Steelgrave Turner Electric, which is related to the fire alarms.
Wait, oh yeah, I was going to say the alarms is next.
And I think the
Almost the last page, second to the last page on the back.
those are both related to the grant monies as well.
Go ahead.
What are you? Do you have other questions related to the fire?
No, anybody else
No.
have any
No.
questions? Okay, I look for a motion.
I'll make a motion. We approve, it's going to be change order number 1, project Bedford Fire Station number 2, fire alarm. Change order request dated 1/21/22, add $1,972.54. So on this one's going to be original contract sum $10,120, adding $1,972.54 for a new contract sum of $12,092.54.
Support.
Okay, motion in support of Ms. Janazek. Any more discussion? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, and the motion passed 7-0.
Okay. Change order number 1 for Van Tassel Construction is related to hidden condition at the site. When we excavated for the plumbing modifications for the toilet rooms, they inspected the underground line leading out to the curb and discovered that it was blocked and the flagpole was planted through it. So it has to have some modification done. That's what this change order is for the $4,731.68.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
Could you
I do want to
speak-
point out,
yeah.
yes, thank you. This is for that plumbing repair. Asphalt would be repaired in the spring. We don't have pricing on that yet, so there is still a potential change order coming for addressing the repair of the asphalt.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. We approve change order number 1, project interior renovations for Bedford Fire Station number 2. Change proposal dated 1/14/22. Number 2, drain line replacement, add $4,731.68. Original contract sum, $588,800. Adding $4,731.68. New contract sum, $593,531.68.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported, Mr. Gore. Any more discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Ms. Jandsek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0.
The change order number 2 for Van Tassel Construction is also related to another hidden condition. When they began demolition in that same area, they discovered asbestos, and so that had to be remediated, and that's what the change order of $1,005.08 is related to.
We have any questions, comments? I look for a motion.
Make a motion. We approve change order number 2, interior renovations for Bedford Fire Station number 2. Change proposal dated 1/14/22, asbestos abatement, add $1,005.08. Original contract sum, $588,800. We're adding $4,731.68. We're adding change order number 2, $1,005.08 for a new contract sum of $594,536.76.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported, Mr. Gore. Any more discussion? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Jandsek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0.
Change order 3 is a result of some changes in hardware for the fire doors on both stairwells and the addition of a door to separate the office area from the apparatus bays. And part of that is related to the final plan review by the plan reviewer after the permit drawings were sent to them for review.
Any comments, questions? Seeing none, I look for a motion.
Make a motion. We approve change order number 3, interior renovations for Bedford Fire Station number 2. Change proposal dated 1/14/22. Number 3, Bolton number 1. Okay, we are deducting $1,834.48, adding $1,719.60, adding $828.26, adding $162.91, for a total deduct of $1,834.48, an addition of $2,710.77, which is going to give us the remaining balance of $876.29.
Second.
So now we're at original contract sum, $588,800. We're adding the change order 1, $4,731.68. Change order 2, $1,005.08. Now change order 3, $876.29 for a new contract sum of $595,000. $413.05.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and support by Mr. Steiner. Any more discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Prony?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0.
And then the last change order number 4, is related to a change in scope to provide the majority of it. There's a couple of other smaller items that were adjustments in scope as well. But the two big items that I think are most affecting the ad are related to the stairwell, existing stairwell, had to be completely reconstructed with a door relocation and a masonry wall, and then some full enclosure of it. When we had originally put the bids out, the discussion that we had with the building official was such that we could leave the stair with some minor modifications to it in that scenario, plus the fire separation of the attic spaces. What they ended up needing to do with this is go inside those two small crawls on the second floor and completely encase that in drywall, which entails cutting holes in it, and also made modifications to the mechanical and electrical systems. So those are the multiple components that you see outlined in this this change order. We had attempted to do due diligence in that first piece of bidding. Unfortunately, the plan review doesn't come until after the bids are awarded, when the contractor pulls permit. So as a result of that, the plan reviewer interpreted things differently. We had some negotiations back and forth, some give, some take. Ultimately, these were the required modifications to those two key areas. So end result is the change order that you see before you.
Okay, any comments, questions? Seeing none, look for a motion.
Make a motion. We approve change order number 4, interior renovations for Bedford Fire Station number 2. Do you guys want me to read each one of these, or just go down to the end numbers?
Just go to the bottom.
Is everyone
just
good
go
with
to the
that?
bottom.
I'm good
Yeah.
with that too. All right, original contract sum, $588,800. We're adding $4,731.68, $1,005.08, $876.29. Now this is the one for this change order we're adding now, change order 4. $52,355.13 for a new contract sum of $647,000, $768.18.
Support.
Okay, motion and support of Ms. Januzak. Any more discussion, comments? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Prony?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0.
Thank you. And just a point of clarity, I guess, that with these change orders, we are still well below the next closest bid. And again, these were things that were added scope beyond what that original contract was. So these would have been required change orders with any of the contractors that had originally bid the job. My personal feeling in looking at these, Van Tassel in today's market did very well at keeping these reasonable for change orders. They fit within the parameters of what we would have expected, or a little less in many instances. So as I say, he's been a good, willing partner. The job's not over yet, so final judgment will be how the last 10% closes out. But been very blessed to have him in that position, and things are going well. I'd invite you out if you want to come. We have regular meetings, weather pending. This Thursday will be our next meeting, and 2 weeks from that would be our next one after that. So if anybody wants to come through, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be glad to take you on a tour of how things are going now. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to continue to work with you on it.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay. Up next is 8J, ordinance to establish a general policy for and to regulate liquor licenses and permits. Ms. Hirschberger?
So before you have the changes to the ordinance. There was one error we found after this went out to you. On page 3, under bullet 4, fees, it should read, each applicant for a new license or permit shall deposit the sum of $2,400, not $2,000. Because it goes on to read that the $400 is non-refundable, and then the remainder, or the $2,000, would be an escrow.
Anybody else have any comments, questions, additions?
Yeah. I guess with that same point, I don't know if it necessarily clarifies. It says that the 400 is non-refundable.
Correct.
Would it be? I feel like it's just assumed, and I don't know if it needs to be put in there. Does that mean, because that's for anyone that would apply, correct?
Correct.
And then only the applicant that was awarded is going to be ending up, like all the non-awarded applicants will be refunded the $2,000?
Correct.
I don't know if that needs to be, I don't know if that's clarified in there. And then, if it needs to be, I guess like I feel like it's assumed, but I don't know if that needs to be, if Marty would say, yeah, that should be included.
Yeah, I thought it was assumed, because if it's going into an escrow, you don't keep an escrow if there's nothing to escrow.
Mr. Chair, I would hesitate to say that all applicants' money who's not successful would get refunded, because the escrow is for costs and fees, and if there's 1 or 2 or 3 applicants that are in close running, there may be extra scrutiny applied, maybe there's costs of some sort, and they would be applied to that escrow, and it may exceed the $400. So I would hesitate to say that, yes, any unsuccessful applicant, the second one running, they may be right down to the wire, and it may take the township, and the township may incur additional costs for that second one in running beyond the $400. So I think that they need to tally the costs and monitor them for each applicant. And if they're able to allocate them to the applicant, then that would apply to their escrow account if it exceeded $400.
Does any of that need to be clarified in, like, with following that, I guess would be the question. If any of that needs to be, or if that's fine at, like.
Well, the language does say the remainder of the fee deposit, which is the $2,000 in escrow, shall be placed in escrow and used by the township to pay the costs of publication. So that may be spread over all the applicants. Township department review, costs of mailing, township professional reviews by the township attorney and planning consultant. So it's pretty explicit, and there may be some other items we didn't think of.
I don't know. The other question I had is on 8.8, which is on the next page, on page 4, that the ordinance already states that the applicant pays the cost of publication and mailing. Is that separate from the $2,000 or the $2,400 or whatever it would be?
The publications would come out of the $2,000. The $400 is for the initial application review fees.
So the mailing you're talking about, that would come out of the escrow too. All expenses would be taken out of the 400, and then the 2,000 would come next.
Mr. Steiner.
So if you could look back to number 4, it does reference in there paying the cost of the publications. So it's sort of redundant that it just follows back up on page 8. So it's just basically stating it a second time. Second thing I want to bring up is not so much the application itself. There was a comment tonight by someone at the podium that said that someone that's going to seek this license is looking for a larger establishment because they were denied due to the size of the facility. there hasn't even been an application process, so I just want to clarify, I don't know how anybody could be denied.
Yeah,
So
nothing's been denied.
I just want to clarify that, and I don't believe anybody in this building would have told them they're denied, so I just want that to be clarified.
Well, I can tell you this too, to add to that, it's never been a popularity contest. This board has always looked at bringing business, dilapidated buildings, bringing, and that was the biggest thing we had on the last give was we were going to see a building with $600,000-$700,000 of improvements and many jobs. So that's huge, So the board heavily weighs on those decisions and those factors. It's not a popularity contest. So, I mean, we definitely take our time and do our due diligence. That's why we do this process. So.
Another, I guess, question I would have for the rest of the board is with the points of 1 through 5 on A 1 through 5. Is there any other things that need to be added to that? I was trying to think of the last in 2018 when this was originally awarded, like. What other factors?
Those were
if
the
any?
major factors. I mean, if something else comes up, we can award it our own, but these were the major factors that come up in everything. That's why I thought those would.
And that's why I was asking, is there,
Yeah.
if there's anything else, like I was thinking, which is you want to avoid making anything like this, like particular or
Right.
having anything to do with like the current situation, because this is forever thing. But I was like, the idea of having an existing business that doesn't, a lot of the language in this ordinance is very assumptive that a business doesn't exist, that you got to submit your plans, and there's a lot of things, and I would wonder if that's something that would be worth stating in consideration. For example, if you like, for whatever, if on the last one, if Bates instead of didn't have a business and Jeff Inc. didn't have a business, neither of them had one. But if it was like Bates Quimby's never had a liquor license and he was applying, I feel like in 2018 it would have made sense that, hey, Quimby's has been around, they don't have a liquor license, this guy doesn't even have a business established. Would that have weighed properly in that decision, being an existing business without the license?
Well, I think number 1 would take that over because it talks about an existing establishment. So in this scenario, if someone had an existing and someone didn't, they would get the points for having an established.
I thought that was denoting the improvements upon an existing, like that. I thought the point of number 1 was stating that you're making improvements on an existing business. Like, for example, like the Jeff Inc., there's just a not abandoned building, but just an empty building that they're going to put $1 million into. That's significant, substantial improvement on an existing establishment. Or if somebody bought, or like all the renovations that they did on Charlie Mops or whatever, that you're taking an existing building and making a lot of improvements. That's what I thought number 1 would be judging, hey, they put a ton of money in trying to make something nice that's an existing business, not the fact that it's an existing business.
Well, then you can move on to number 4 where it says applicants who own or have a long-term lease. Would that cover what you're asking?
I don't know. I would think that is also like more denoting that you're presenting plans that benefit the township. I think it would be assumed that there would be, that anyone that's applying for it would own or have a lease. It's more so stating that it's like that the township board is deeming it to be a benefit, that's the grading scale on 4, I would assume.
I just assume number 1, yes, it could be, with improvements to their current location. And then number 4 is just you own that establishment already, or you have a long lease for that facility. That's the way I was reading it.
So number eight, because this on the number 6.
Page 6. Oh, we're looking at page 6.
So this could be a situation at some point, say you have a business owner that, wants to bring in, a Ralph or something that would require a liquor license where he's going to put $1 million investment in here because he already owns a liquor license. We couldn't give it to him. So it could really hamper a situation.
Wait, where are you at?
On page 6, number 8, it says a person or entity who currently has a license and seeks another license.
Unless there are
there's no other qualified
applicant.
9.
Just say there is
9 would
qualified
say if there's
applicant, and you're looking at another applicant who has a $2 million investment, and you know what I'm saying.
But if we want to be fair, if somebody comes in here, that's where we're getting into the fair. If they have one, this is an establishment that doesn't.
So are we into the liquor license business to give away them to be fair, or are we in it to promote? You know what I'm saying? That's my whole thing. I've always looked at when we give the liquor license as a tool to bring economic development into the community. Like you've got, when we had the old
I guess
Pizza
I don't
Hut,
want to get into, well, he has more money than him, so
Right.
he's getting the license,
You have
not
to-
and that's fine.
And that's
I
why
don't
the
want to
board
get into
that's why
that.
the point system is to marry the two. Like you need to
Exactly.
marry those two things, and it's a factor. They both are factors that need to be considered. But
Right.
and the 9 that was added, that means if you have 2, doesn't matter. Is that what I would assume?
Pretty much, if you have 2, there's so many locations. And that might be something we end up changing if everybody in the township has one and nobody else is looking for one and someone comes in.
And then if you do give it to somebody who has more than one, somebody new that does come in, this is our last liquor license. If we give it to somebody who has 2 already, 3, whatever, we're not getting any more. So we have to make sure that who we give it to is somebody that follows the point system. So
This is maybe for Marty. So I'm sure we're going to have multiple applications for this coveted liquor license. We decide on who we're going to give it to. Can any of the other ones appeal or try to sue us? Are we open to any type of litigation, or are we solid?
Section 3, paragraph A says the township board will exercise its discretion in issuance of the license. So you have discretion.
You got to talk to the mics.
Even
guys.
though
They're having
there is a
issues.
point system, that is to help guide you through your process and evaluations, and then in the end, it's still your discretion. And you can't stop somebody from suing you. It's just a matter of whether they can sustain an action against you. And when you have discretion and you're following, to some degree, your point system, you have a rational basis for what you're making your decision on, which is defensible.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. So everybody's okay with the changes that Trudy's going to make? And
The only change we made is the 2,400, correct?
Correct.
That's the only.
Correct.
all right, well, I look for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the Bedford Township liquor ordinance for licenses and permits as presented to the Township Board, with one change in item section 3, item 4. The number that said $2,000 escrow should be changed to $2,400.
Support. Okay, motion in support of Mr. Bruning. Any more discussion? Okay, seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Prony?
Aye, the motion passed. 7-0. So the board's okay with moving forward, putting it out to bid, and that's going to happen.
So that's my next thing I want to update the board on. Now that it's approved, we have to publish this. I cannot put out the applications, which I'm going to have to change some of the application language to match our ordinance now. So I won't be able to put this out until we get it published, and then the day after it's published, we can. So if I can get it in the paper, if I can get it to the paper Monday, it'll publish Thursday. Friday, it will be effective, so we could send out applications that following Monday, which would be the 14th.
And how long would you take applications for the policy?
We looked, and last time we took them about 4 weeks, if the board's okay with that.
I think that's fine. Seems plenty of time.
Yeah.
And then after we take the applications, then at that point, we move through the process of people coming and interviewing and.
Well, the process would first be the mailings and all the different perspective looking at it. The sheriff's department, the planning department, they go through it just like that hasn't changed. That's always been that way. And then they come to the board after that.
Okay.
Just for clarification, so applications are start February 14th and then a 4-week window to accept?
Correct.
Is that okay?
February 14th, if you can get it published. Within
Correct.
one-
Hypothetically.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
As long as the board is okay with those timelines.
I'm good with that, ma'am.
I'm good. Okay.
Okay. 8K. The one added is to the addition. The board will be asked to approve to sell the T-Line EV LLC to sell the 2008 Chevy McCoy Miller ambulance for $10,000. Chief, kind of an interesting email there.
Yes. So a number of months ago, hold on a second. Yeah.
We should have led with the liquor license.
No.
So a number of no. So a few months ago, we came to the board regarding the 2008 McCoy Miller. So last year we sold the 2007 McCoy Miller, and had approval to list it again with a broker. Sat on the market for a little while. He's got some interest in it and sent us over what we feel is a very fair, and I believe it's the same amount as what we got for the 2007 McCoy Miller last year. So I certainly think it's prudent to get out from under the 2008 ambulance right now. Still leaves our fleet with 3 ambulances in service as well as the 2 echo units that are licensed. We also have a couple of our engines that are medically licensed. So it doesn't leave us short right now. Looking at the our long-term apparatus plan indicates that new ambulance will be coming down the road in probably 2023. So we expect to carry 3 ambulances till 2023 in the rotation that we have with those 3 between the 3 stations. And interestingly enough, given the long backlog and the lag in apparatus builds, it's about 18 months to 2 years build time for an ambulance. So even though long term, we're not looking till 2023 to considering it, you'll probably see it sooner than later as an agenda item because if we ordered it today, it would be at least 18 months out before we would see it. So we don't want to put ourselves in a position where we hold on to this one too long and we start to continue to see the mechanical issues. Nor do we think that we're going to be able to wait too long to place the order for the next one, coupled with the price increases that we're hearing from manufacturers daily. So, not to muddy up the water, I think this is a good fair price. It's something that we should probably take advantage of, knowing that we can run with 3, and then we'll eventually probably go back up to 4 in a couple of years.
Okay. Questions, comments?
What was the price again that we were going to get for it?
I'm so sorry. I forgot to put it.
10,000.
10,000.
10,000.
Okay. I look for a motion.
That's what I wanted for with this motion. I'll make a motion that we accept the bid for the 2008 Chevy McCoy Miller ambulance for $10,000.
Support. Okay, motion supported. Mr. Bruning. Discussion. Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye. The motion passed 7-0.
Thank you.
Item 9, comments from the public. Comments limited to 2 minutes. Come on up.
Just because I mentioned this earlier, I wanted to make sure I filled you in a little more, and I promise I'll be brief. The carpeting project for the library and desk modification is set to start on February 23rd and run through approximately March 9th. They do anticipate that it'll take them less time than more time, so that's interesting. They will do the building in sections, so individual sections of the building are likely to be closed at any given time during that period, and we will know more about that and publish that for everybody to see, both on the township website and on our friends. The library has a Facebook page on the library systems social media, so that everybody's aware of when areas of the building might be closed. First section is going to be the children's room, which I'm excited about because that's the carpeting that looks the absolute worst, and it's going to make a huge impact, I think, when we get the new carpeting in there. But also, just as a reminder, both the reference desk and the circulation desk are going to be made smaller, about half the size that they currently are, because we're currently staffing both of those desks with only one person. They were originally built for 3 people to work at, and we just don't need that anymore because we're fairly efficient, and we've moved one desk out into the lobby to provide quick curbside service for people. So we've just kind of changed our business model a little, and that's made it less need for the huge desks that we have in different spaces in the building. In addition to that, we're putting in 2 new quiet study rooms in our back corner. The northwest corner, which is what looks out onto the children's garden, and those walls will be made mostly of glass, so we both won't eliminate the natural light that comes in there, and we'll be able to see inside the meeting rooms, which is helpful when you're next door to the junior high and high school. So we do want to make sure the back corner doesn't have hidey holes. Just so everybody's aware, those are the things that are going to be happening. They'll be happening in pieces, and I am going to actually do some Facebook Live events of when they're actually doing the process, because I think people will be fascinated. They use equipment that actually wraps the shelves so that we don't have to move any books, we don't have to remove anything, and then they pick them up and they wheel them out of the way and they take care of the flooring underneath that, and then they put them all back. So it's both a speedy process and an efficient process, and takes a lot less time. And that's really part of why we're thrilled to be having this particular company do this, because it's one of the few companies that'll do it that way. So I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware of what's going on, and I'll keep everybody posted as I know more details about what's happening when. Thank you.
Thank you for the update. Appreciate it.
Gail Kane, 1056 West Temperance. Just a couple quick notes. It's sad to think that our economic growth is based on consuming alcohol. Not really a good thing to have, I don't think. I wouldn't hang my hat on that. The other thing is it's my understanding that if you apply and you don't get a liquor license from the township, people are able to purchase one from the state, and that hasn't been mentioned or brought up, I don't believe, so I'm just kind of double checking. Additionally, I'm confused. Mr. Montrice, I believe, stepped back from the Library Advisory Board, and it had with issues over the millage specifics. Now, it's my understanding that the millages can state what they're going to be used for, but I don't believe that I've ever known them to be so specific that you had to list absolutely every single thing. I mean, it's usually to make repairs to a building or to improve a building. It's not because we want to change a toilet because the one in the first room doesn't flush. I mean, I don't know, I may be a little bit confused. And the other thing is that the job of the Fire Advisory Board was brought up, and it's my understanding that this is just a sounding board for the chief. So maybe somebody in the process of going through things, we can look at that. There had been talk about disbanding it at one time. And these people should not be directing the chief, I don't believe. He should not go to them. He needs to be going to his staff and having conversations with them, and then bouncing that off, I believe, is what the advisory board was for. So, Krista, I know you do a great job. I go to some of those meetings. So The problem is it's confusing for other people that, really may not understand exactly what all goes on with some of these. So
Thank you for your
I
comments.
thank you
Have a
kindly.
great night.
Kudos to all of them.
Okay, any more comments from the public?
Mark Ellsworth, 1421 Winding Way, Temperance. My wife and I own DeCapo Coffee, and one of the things I wanted to make sure, and Paul stated it very well tonight, is that when we apply for a liquor license, everybody gets treated fairly. That is the most important thing to me, is that we all get judged on merit. I like the point system, and I thank you all for bringing that up and talking about that. Second, tomorrow we're burying a citizen that's done a lot for this community, Jerry Barron. May he rest in peace. I just wanted you to know. Thanks.
Thank you for comments. Any more comments from the public? Okay, seeing no more, we have comments from Township Board members. Mr. Steiner?
Yeah, one thing that was brought up tonight is talking about the fire chief hiring or appointing positions. And what was just brought up, the one thing I wouldn't want to see is a fire chief going directly to an advisory board. We've got some intelligent people on the advisory board, but not every one of them knows everything about what a firefighter, a fire chief, a deputy, a lieutenant, a captain, what they really need to do, and the functions that they need to have, the certifications, et cetera. If a chief wants to discuss it with the fire advisory board, I think that's his prerogative. And again, if it's following policy, then unless we change that policy, that if you're following the policy, there's nothing you can really say against that. Up until now, I mean, I haven't heard of any rumblings within the fire department. If they're there, folks, I know a number of years ago when there was some issue with the fire department, I got a few phone calls. To this day, no one knows who those people were, because that's my 100% confidence. So if anybody wanted to say something, I'm here, and I know there's ways that you can try to get a hold of me that I wouldn't even know who you are if you don't even want to say who you are. So take that to note. I don't know if I can't say some of the perceptions are true, false, or whatever, unless they're coming from the horse's mouth. Last but not least, again, fire, EMS, and everybody else, we are going to take a big hit on the weather tomorrow. And since Ms. Russ had to point out that I would remember what DOS is and all that, then I can tell her she probably remembers that 44 years and 6 days ago was the blizzard of 78. And that was my birthday as well. So, that's all.
Okay, Mr. Montry?
I just wanted to state that I'm very thankful that we didn't even dignify the idea of changing to a charter township with any real relevant discussion. I appreciate that.
Mr. Gore?
Just everybody be safe the next couple days. I know you're going to hit on it. Paul, just give our road crews some leave, and our firefighters and police. They're going to be tremendously busy the next couple of days. So just everybody be safe.
Mr. Bruno?
Nothing additional to add. Everybody be safe this weekend. Should be fine, but everyone just be safe and smart. Have a good night.
Okay. All right. Ms. Janaszek?
I just want to remind everyone that taxes are due on February 14th. It's about a week and a half away. And then everyone have a safe and wonderful evening. Be safe the next couple of days. And remember to check on the elderly. Unfortunately, not everyone has somebody that can take care of them. So if you can check on them, please do so. Have a great evening.
Ms. Hirschberger?
So I just want to remind everyone that to watch our Facebook and our website. As soon as the ordinance is approved, we will let everyone know that way that the liquor license applications are available. I'm sure Paul will put it on Facebook when we're ready.
Or what would you say?
The liquor license applications
yeah,
when they're
yeah,
available.
we'll
We'll put it out on Facebook. We'll put it out on the website. So just watch those two locations when, after the 14th sometime, they should be available. I think that's it.
Mr. Ellsworth, I appreciate you bringing up Mr. Jerry Barron. What an amazing guy that this community's had the honor to have. You know, he's just, they've done so much, and he will be truly missed. You know, I mean, I know he gave one of his kidneys to one of his, you know, a person that gave him business and, you know, didn't really know him. So he will truly be missed, and we appreciate him and we'll miss him so much. So thank you for bringing that up. Just so everybody's aware, the township hall is closed Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The personnel committee has met and decided, for the safety of the residents and the employees of the township, we're gonna close. We're not gonna take risk and mess around with the ice, and you know, so that's what we're doing. If you need anything, shoot me an email. I'll be checking my emails. I'm sure all the trustees will be. Give me a call on my phone, and you know, I'll have phones transferred to my cell phone. So in case anybody needs anything, I know a lot of people call during the snowstorms because, hey, my subdivision got missed, or, you know, we're doing the best we can. So just so everybody knows, I've kind of oversaw the snow plowing, but we've contracted with the Stone Co. again to do Lambertville side. They'll be starting around 4 o'clock tomorrow. And then we've contracted with a few local contractors to do our buildings. So if you see a different truck doing our buildings, that's what's happening there. The fire departments, the township hall, the library has been contracted out, and so our maintenance crew can go straight to the neighborhoods starting tomorrow and go as long as they can until we switch over to our seasonal guys if we need to keep them going. So we're going to have all these neighborhoods cleared, hopefully, and keep them cleared for you. It's a lot of work. I know when you get this much snow and you're blowing your driveway and they come by and they blow it right back in your driveway. There's not much we can really do about that. Yep. I'm going to do a video tomorrow, and that people that park on the roads right now, do us a favor and get them off the roads. In a neighborhood, I've plowed myself, and it is extremely dangerous when you have two cars side by side. It's nearly impossible to get by them, especially with a 9-foot wide blade. You know, sometimes it's tight enough you almost have to back up and go around. So please, at a minimum, if you can't park in the driveway, do not park side by side because it's very difficult. And your car with this much snow will be snowed in for quite some time. Just a few things with the house items. Clear your vents. If you have a fire hydrant in your yard, clear the fire hydrant. I mean, with this much snow, it could cover the fire hydrant as a whole. So, I mean, we don't want to have that happen if we have a need for the fire department to go out. Great news with our new employee, Dan. Before we looked at scrapping the Explorer, Dan took it out and went through it, and he fixed the Explorer. So, you know, I guess he did something, you know, with sprayed the Cadillac converters and went through the O2 sensors and did work on it, and he's got it back on the road. Shayla's driving it for under a few $100. So huge win there. I want to congratulate Jacob Wingate on becoming an Eagle Scout. That's the highest honor you can achieve in scouting. February is Black History Month, and Monroe Community College is offering a series of lectures via Zoom. So if you are interested in that, check out their website or Facebook. I already mentioned keeping cars off the streets. Our snowplows will be going continuously, you know, after tomorrow afternoon until it's done Friday. So I'm super excited about the chiller to finally get that moving. I mean, it's you know, one of the bigger projects I'm excited for. I'm excited the carpet's getting moving and things are moving along. I'm happy and thankful Al is willing to go spend some time, and it works out well with him being in the office, and we're working on the projects, so it works well. So I'm glad things are working well with that. And yeah, so yeah, no, he's he's a great guy. So, yep, I appreciate your words, and I'm sure he does. But other than that, things are going very well, very busy, and so everybody be safe. And anybody else has any comments? None? Okay.
Township's closed the next 3 days.
Township is closed.
You get 3 more days on taxes then? No.
No.
Okay.
You've had him since
Okay.
December.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hey, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Hey, adjourn.